surface of Borg. Resistance is futile. Your life, as it has been, is over. From this time forward, you will service us.
No! We will not service Washington.
Mr. Worf, fire.
Well, welcome to another live episode of the Renegade and the Rambler show. Of course, now everything's going to beep at me. But anyway, it's been an interesting week. I am the Renegade, Dan Bailey, and I am joined today by Jeff, the Rambler Johnson, and Suzanne's listening in an airport somewhere in the hinterlands, otherwise known as the left coast.
No, she's not in the hinterlands yet. She's stuck in the land of the fruits and nuts.
I was going to say, we don't call them civilized out there, but anyway. So Jeff, I take... Oh, she's at San Jose. Yeah, I agree with you. Blah.
San Jose?
Yeah, if you didn't lose anything out there, Jeff, you do not want to visit San Jose or L.A. or San Fran or, well...
I've been to L.A. once. I've been to LA once. That was enough. I do not plan on returning. I was to San Juan Capistrano, which was really a kind of a cool little city. It's a shame it was in California. Outside that,
you have not lived until you drive a semi through rush hour traffic on the 405.
That's okay. I'll pass.
You will know how good your heart is driving the 405 at rush hour in a semi. Yes, I've done that.
I had a friend that wants to go down to New York City for something. I was like, no, I'll pass on the city. Thank you very much.
Oh, well, good news. My new run takes me into Brooklyn every night. So I will wave and get to spit on Yankee Stadium every time I pass it. Yes, well, I'm an Orioles fan. I have a right to spit on their stadium on the way by.
I have no desire to go in that city, and at least you're going in there at night. It shouldn't be as bad as going in there during the daylight hours. During the daylight hours, I don't know how you could possibly get in there in your allotted time frame.
Yeah, we kind of don't. We got some guys that do it, but we send guys into Farmingdale at 3:30 in the morning. Well, actually, they come into work at 3:30. They're supposed to leave at 3:30. They actually don't leave till 5:30. And they have to go to Farmingdale. You don't have time to go to Farmingdale and back. Because, okay, if you don't know where Farmingdale is, it's halfway out Long Island. It's just north of the Hamptons. There is nothing out there, no manufacturing, nothing that far out on that island. There is about 1 million some people that live out there that all want to get into New York City every day, though.
Yep.
So, yeah, it gets rather interesting, to say the least. But
well,
go ahead.
I was going to say I don't want to be in that traffic. I hate the little traffic we have here. It's bad enough here. I would love to be someplace with where I'm lucky to see one car all day long. But I don't know very many places like that any longer.
What, Western Texas maybe? Literally on your ranch with about 100 some acres around you.
Yeah, that's about the only way I'd never see cars. But maybe someday. Maybe when I retire. We'll see. But anyway, I'm not quite sure what this week's going to be schedule-wise. I know that Suzanne is doing a show on Tuesday morning, so more than likely I will be doing a show. I know I can't do one Monday, so I'll probably be doing a show Tuesday morning right before hers. And that will probably be it until after January after January 1st, and for me. I don't know what Suzanne's going to do, whether she's going to do any other shows this week going into the holidays. I know we're not doing them next Sunday, right? We aren't?
Oh, I'm not planning on one
Right
next
then.
night. I won't be in
Okay,
town
good.
probably, so.
Okay, good. Because I'm not planning on being on next Sunday night. If you want to do a show Sunday night, you do a show Sunday night. I'm not going to be on. I'm pretty sure that Tuesday may be my last show for me until after the new year. And so I'm guessing that probably you and I collectively are done until after the new year.
I might do something through the week if I get time. I'm off the Tuesday after Christmas, so I might do a show then, depending on plans. So watch Facebook.
I don't plan on doing anything in that week. I'm just going to enjoy having the holiday, just doing the holidays, and that's it. I'm not going to worry about shows, but we'll see what's going on. I don't know what Suzanne's schedule is. I know Tuesday for a fact there's going to be live shows 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. on Tuesday this week. So
this is called therapeutic. This is called therapeutic treatment for a truck driver. So we love to get on and rant about absolutely things that people don't care about. So, I mean, there's always that.
I think this will probably be about my last time for doing some. Tuesday I'll do some political stuff, and that'll probably be about it for politics until after the holidays are over. After that, you probably won't see much of me posting anything political from here on out. It'll just, be stupid elf on a shelf stuff or whatever, stuff like that. So I don't know what is going on there at the Bailey House. Anything special going on?
Well, the biggest thing of the year happened this weekend, Jeff.
What's that? Atlanta's airport lost power, and it's affecting everyone, including Suzanne.
Well, that happened today. I was talking about it. Came out Thursday.
Oh, did you go see it?
I went and saw it. 2.5 hours.
I saw it. Let's see. It came out Thursday. Was the early premiere, right? Early showings on Thursday.
Yeah, unless you were in London and then you showed up.
Because I saw it Thursday night at 7 p.m.
I know. I saw your post. I was jealous.
Oh, yeah.
I had to work. But I kind of liked it. I think, well, I don't want to give spoilers away here, but
I already told one of the guys at work, because I'm not going to give you any spoilers. There's some scenes I think they could have cut out. It was 2 hours and 30, like 2 minutes long. And there's a couple of scenes they could have just cut out and wouldn't have hurt this film at all. I mean, the plot line of the film, and actually would have made the film a little bit more comfortable. And I'm pretty sure you know which scene I'm talking about with Luke Skywalker and the girl. They're walking across the path, and he gets a drink. So, like that one there, that was really, really, really uncomfortable. And they could have just got rid of that scene, and it wouldn't have affected the show at all. Outside of that, I liked the show. I mean, that one scene was so really bizarre. I couldn't understand why it was there. They could take that out, and I hope when they go to put it on TV and stuff that scene is gone, because it's just a useless scene anyway, and it just was so bizarre and so uncomfortable. Especially there with kids, it just was very uncomfortable.
The worst part about it was the one question that everybody wanted answered from 7 still has not been answered. We still have no idea who her parents are. I mean, I know who I'd like them to be.
He hinted at it.
We'll see in the video game Battlefront 2, which is supposed to be what they call canon for Star Wars, because it was written by Lucas. They kind of alluded to that she was possibly related to these 2 former Imperial soldiers, Special Forces soldiers. But then if you play the update to the game, nah, that's not her. That's somebody else. And it's like, you gotta be kidding me. It was the only question I wanted answered the entire show. But I do like the fight at the end. I do like the space battles. It was pretty good.
No, I mean, overall, it lived up to the Star Wars history. Now, I will say, it was 4, 5, and 6 were the originals. And, of course, there's a lot of debate about 6. A lot of people hated 6 because of the teddy bears.
Fighting bears.
I mean, they were pretty ridiculous. but you have to also consider the time frame. It was a different media age when that all came out the first time. So, it was very, very good for its day. And I will say this much: my brother, who's 10 years younger than I am, he wasn't really enthralled by this movie. He likes the original so much better. He doesn't like how the new how they digitize everything. He thinks it takes away from the movie, where Lucas didn't have all this be able to digitize everything. He had to make actual models and make the models actually appear to be flying through space. So it was what Lucas had. Lucas made incredible movies with the limited abilities that he had as far as technology. Now, my brother doesn't like the new technology they're putting in all this. I'm kind of a little bit more ambivalent towards all that. I really enjoyed it. It was good. Like I said, there was a couple. I think they could cut a couple scenes, get it under 2 hours and 32 minutes, and definitely the one scene they can cut out, and they should burn that segment because it is totally useless to the show. And it was just, I thought it was very inappropriate. I didn't think it was appropriate, especially with the number of children there. It was very bizarre, very inappropriate, and very uncomfortable. So that's all I'll say about it. And when anyone that goes sees it, you'll know exactly the scene I'm talking about. The second it comes up, you'll be like, oh my gosh. Johnson was actually right for once. So
just once?
Well, according to all the people around me, I'm never right. I'm that wacko that's always wrong. But
that's my job. That's my job.
But anyway, so it was good.
I kind of like the CGI effects. I don't know. I'm new school, so like everybody hates 1, 2, and 3. I actually didn't mind 1, 2, and 3.
Now, 1, 2, and 3 were awful. They were terrible, and it wasn't because of the CGI. I just thought they were the worst. The plot lines. Jar Jar Binks was annoying to the
one was stupid.
I mean, where people hate the teddy bears in 6. I despise Jar Jar Binks. He was annoying. I couldn't stand him. Now that being said, they fit the trilogy. I mean, it fit. I mean, so I deal with it because it was the storyline. It brings the pre-story up into the 4, 5, and 6, and now we're getting the after story in 7, 8, and 9. So, and I'm sure that even though Lucas only had up to 9, that Disney has got to make their money off this, and we're going to have 10, 11, 12, 13, 125, 26, 27, I'm sure.
Did you get that kind of feeling after watching 8 that Disney was just going to keep rolling out new storylines? like
yeah,
okay, I mean, the original canon's over, but we're going to write new canon now because
I thought this was still Lucas. I thought 7, 8, 9 were the original 9 stories.
No. 7, 8, and 9 were completely rewritten. J.J. Abrams started it in 7, and then whoever they got to do it for 8. But yeah, they're completely rewritten because the original 7, 8, and 9 would have been Luke founding the Old Republic, and there would have actually been a swarm of they were like walking bees that came that inhabited Alderaan. They come back and have a hive mind, and anyway, that's all in the expanded universe. And in the Old Republic stories and everything. So not really relevant to what's actually going on in canon now, but yeah.
So anyway, I don't mind us talking about this. It gives us a break from the politics of the day. And so why don't you just fill us in a little bit? I don't have any of the news story. I came in after she posted, so I didn't have the link. So I don't even. I just alluded to it. There's something going on in Atlanta. What is transpiring there? We might as well give breaking news to everyone that's listening.
Apparently, The Atlanta airport suddenly ceased all power. This power outage not only affected ground operations and underground operations at the Atlanta airport, it also knocked out the substations near the airport. I don't know. Georgia Power and Electric says they're working on the problem. I'm kind of starting to believe, I don't know, maybe this is conspiratorial mind on me. Hacker, terrorist. They don't have to use bombs anymore to terrorize people. You can use a computer algorithm to overload a transformer and blow it from a great distance. It's really not as difficult as they want you to think it is. It's a matter of flipping a few buttons.
Yeah.
You turn the safety off or something, and bam, you got the issue.
Yeah. I mean, quite honestly, Suzanne, if you were able to talk, we could talk post-apocalyptic books because I believe in one of, I want to say, I can't remember if it was Franklin Horton or one of them. I can't remember which one it was, but there was these attack on our infrastructure, our grid system. And that, I think it was Locker 9, and part of the attack was on the grid system and brought it down, and that is how we ended up with a failure in society.
Yeah, we've had a couple. I can chime in. We've had a couple like that scenarios. I think Frank Horton did one, and then I'm also reading some by Dave McIntyre from Home Alone, from the series Alone. He was season 2 winner, and a lot of these Angry American has some too. A series that starts out Going Home.
And I'm waiting for book 6 of Angry Americans. Impatiently waiting. I mean, he left us. I can't tell people what happened at the end of book 5, but I mean, come on. Now I'm sitting here waiting.
Whether you're going to bug in or where you're going to bug out, but people have to also take into consideration the more likely scenario that you're going to be caught away from home. So do you have the means to get home? Well, shoot, I had to fly out to California. So obviously I'm unarmed. I have one backpack. You kind of roll the dice.
Yeah. And that's what I was talking about the other day about my trip to Philadelphia. And that was actually a trip where I actually loaded my ruck in the truck. Ruck in the truck. That sounds like a Dr. Seuss book. So anyway, I put my ruck in my truck, and I had it with me. So because I was 200 plus miles, I was about 200 miles from home, and I couldn't go on a day bag on that. I had to bring the kitchen sink bag with me to have everything I would possibly need to walk 200 miles to get back to my family. So anyway, I really didn't know what was going on.
When I go somewhere, I prefer to drive, because when you fly, you're going to be unarmed. It's a real pain in the butt to try and travel with your firearms, and you're at a tremendous disadvantage. So I try and pay attention to what's going on geopolitically, or what's going on, what time of year it is. What's the likelihood if I have to get home? How hard is it going to be? And I'm going to mute my mic because we're having every announcement under the sun now.
Yeah, actually, you're doing pretty well. I wasn't really noticing it, but it really is. And so I really didn't know what was going on down there, Daniel. So it was electrical grid. They had some transformer blow up. Is that what you said?
Their official statements. Okay, they're saying they originally thought it was a construction crew doing work that caused it, and Georgia Power is saying it was a fire at one of their underground facilities.
Okay.
So you can just let your imaginations run wild here. Nobody knows what's going on. They do know there was a fire at one of the underground facilities because fire crews were there, quote unquote, to put it out. So
some people need to think about too is you're not able to get any food or buy anything while you're in the airport because they can't make any transactions. It's all done via electricity because all the cash registers, as you know, are all operating along with electricity. Remember, I have an old one from I think 1900 where you just push the buttons and it looks like a typewriter. But now I've had situations where again the power's out, you cannot buy items even with cash.
Yeah.
Well, they couldn't count the money anyway.
And that's the problem too. We'll discuss that on Tuesday, Susanna.
Yeah, and the doors aren't opening either. People can't get in or out. It's crazy. Okay, all right.
We'll definitely discuss this Tuesday as far as the prepping angle, because it really is a situation where, like when I went to Philadelphia, I was able, because I drove, to have water, have my filtration abilities, and but when you're flying, these people are now stuck at the mercy of whoever, because they have no water, they have no food, they have no way, they can't leave. They're past security. They won't let anyone in, won't let anyone out. It really is a bad situation. We'll discuss it more on Tuesday. But I just figured we just throw that out there, Daniel. We're at 21 minutes after. I sent you a one of the breaks, did you get that in your Gmail?
I have the breaks all lined up, waiting to go.
Oh, okay. Well, I just didn't know because we're at 21 minutes. I didn't know if you wanted to drop out for a break now or what you wanted to do.
Sure.
You do what you do. You take us out if we're going to go.
If I hit the right buttons here to mute things. Anyway, this is the Renegade and the Rambler show. This is your pre-Christmas edition and the last one of the year. We will be right back after a word from, well, Jeff Johnson.
Suzanne Sherman, shooting straight on everything from prepping to politics. The Wasatch Report, every Monday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, on the Cerberus Radio Network. Looking for a new custom camo dress or scarf? Tail Gunner Apparel. Looking for bath and body products for women and men? Tail Gunner Apparel. Looking for bed scarves and custom home products? Tail Gunner Apparel. Look awesome and feel even better. Tail Gunner Apparel on Facebook or at tailgunnerapparel.etsy.com. That's tailgunnerapparel.etsy.com.
Made love and then you cried. Remember when?
Cerberus Radio Network, protecting liberty and freedom from the flames of tyranny.
Just hear those sleigh bells jingling, ring ting tingling too. Come on, it's lovely weather for a sleigh ride together with you. 'Cause outside the snow is falling and friends are calling you. Come on, it's lovely weather for a sleigh ride together with you. Giddy up, giddy up, giddy up, let's go. Let's look at the show.
And welcome back to the Renegade and the Rambler show. Here is the birthday boy from last week, Mr. Jedi Knight, J.R. Bailey. Okay, Padawan, go on. Master will be with you shortly. All right, Jeff, now that we've covered Star Wars and we've covered the airport shenanigans.
Well, it is important as far as you have to have the mindset that things can go wrong no matter where you are. It would really suck for Suzanne if she were to get stuck in California, that many miles from home. We always have to think about those type things. So anyway, we can just move on from there. The other morning, and I know you saw, I don't know if you saw this particular article, if you saw a different article or you heard about it, but I saw an article from CBS News in Chicago, and I don't see a filed under Derek Blakely. He's from their crime desk or whatever, Chicago. So Chicago CBS, some politicians in the past have recommended deploying the National Guard to help Chicago quell gun violence. But Cook County Commissioner Richard Boykin went even further on Thursday, suggesting the United Nations perhaps send in peacekeepers in the face of what he called a quiet genocide. I'm going to keep going on this article, but I'm going to stop right there. So this wonderful person, and I will clean up what I was going to say, would like to bring foreign troops onto the soils of this union to put down gun violence in a city inside the state of Illinois. What could possibly go wrong with that idea? Boykin was, it gets even better because Boykin was traveling to New York to meet with Oscar Fernandez Taranco of Argentina, the UN Assistant Secretary General for Peacekeeping Support, to seek international help. So he's talking to a foreign dignitary to get foreign help in the form of military troops from other countries on this continent to help with horrific, quote unquote, horrific levels of shootings and other violent crime in the West Side and South Side communities. So what's that?
Is it a police chief having negotiations about bringing foreign troops in to police a city inside of the United States?
He's a county commissioner.
Oh, okay, a county commissioner. This makes it even better. A county commissioner having negotiations with a foreign dignitary, illegal under, I don't know, about 15 different federal laws, and he should be immediately arrested.
Hold on a second. Let's do away with the federal laws on that, because number one, let's go to where I was going to go with this. Let me see. I'm just going to read another paragraph, then we'll jump into where I was going to go with this. Because we'll bypass the actual federal code. Let's go to the Constitution, okay? Let me just read this sentence, and we'll discuss this constitutionally. I'm hoping to appeal to the UN to actually come to Chicago and meet with victims of the violence and maybe even possibly help out in terms of peacekeeping efforts, because I think it is so critical for us to make sure that these neighborhoods are safe, Boykin said at O'Hare International Airport on Thursday. All right. So he's flying to New York City to meet with a foreign official, someone from Argentina, representing another governmental agency, because that's what the UN is. It's a governmental agency, to seek foreign troops to come into these United States, into a city, to do what? How are they going to put down the violence? These are foreign troops. Okay, so when people start shooting at these foreign troops, what's going to happen? Who knows? All right, so let's go, Daniel, let's go ahead and go to the Constitution. Who has the delegated authority to negotiate with foreign governments? And it's not Article 1. We know that, because the House and the Senate were not given any weren't given any ability to go and have delegations go to other countries. So
yes, they were only given oversight.
So what article are we talking about, Daniel?
Well, we know it's not Article 3.
We know it's not Article 3, and we know it's not Article 1.
Which means it's got to be Article 2. And Jeff, what is in Article 2?
The President of the United States.
Oh.
And
wouldn't
the
that
President,
be Trump?
Yeah. Let's back this up. We've been having a little fun with that, but let's back this up a little bit. When the states acceded to this compact, okay, so I used big words there that we don't use today when I said acceded to. So that means they agreed to it, acceded, And then like that's why there's sus-seed where you leave, seed where you
Thank-
come in. So
thank
they
you for breaking
acceded
it
and they
down for a
came into an agreement. What's that?
I said, thank you for breaking it down for a trucker.
Well, the problem is today we use dumb words. Oh, I agreed to that. You know, come on. These people were so much smarter than us. And what they did is they acceded to a compact. What's a compact? Today we would call it a contract. Yeah. They all entered into, they acceded, so they entered in to an agreement, a compact. When they did that, they agreed to who did they give the authority to negotiate with foreign governments? Go ahead, Daniel. You know it. You already just said it. This is kind of replaying what we just talked about.
Behind doors number 1 and 3, we find losers, people. It's behind door number 2. Door number 2 is the correct answer.
So the states all agreed that they were going to give up the power to. No, they're not going to give it up. Wrong word. They were going to delegate the authority to the general government to enter into treaties with other countries. And so, that's why in the world would the states do that, Daniel?
In order
what
to
would
have
you say?
Conformity of trade.
What's that?
In order to have conformity of trade.
Yes. Well, and with trade, yes. But why would they do? Okay. So if Pennsylvania was going around the world making agreements and entering into treaties with other countries, because Pennsylvania is a country, it's a nation, it is its own sovereign nation. That's a state. If the state of Pennsylvania went around the world entering into agreements, whose interests would they be looking after? The 50 states of the Union or the state of Pennsylvania?
Well, one would hope they'd be looking after the state interests.
One would hope. So if that is why the states all agreed that they would give this power or lend this power. That's a better word. I'm not going to say give because they didn't give it up. They just lent the power to the general government to handle negotiations with other countries for the good of all collectively. So today they entered into agreements that are supposed to benefit all 50 states equally. That was the whole point. That was why they lent this power to the government so that when they entered into these agreements, it benefited everyone equally. And California wasn't, okay, so let's go back up. What would California saying they were going to do with the Paris Treaty since Trump wouldn't do it?
Well, they said they were going to follow it.
They said they were going to go in and negotiate and they were going to sign the Paris Agreement. They can't do that under the Constitution. They would have to leave the Union to do that. Because
I will send them gifts.
They lent that power to the general government.
So we're California, just to note, you can't enter into an agreement. However, if you wish to withdraw yourself from the agreement of the 50 states and then enter into the agreement, we bid you farewell and have a nice day, and we will do trade with you as an equal.
That's the whole point. So we're not even talking about a state. We're talking about a county commissioner. We're talking even a smaller entity going and meeting with foreign dignitaries, trying to negotiate foreign troops onto a city streets.
Yeah, who would have no legal authority.
This is so ridiculous. I mean, and you know what? Suzanne and I are going to talk about this. We keep saying we're going to talk about it. We're going to break out the Agenda 2030, and we're going to start talking about it. Agenda, for those out there, there's a lot of people out there that go, oh, Agenda, there was Agenda 21, which is very real. And if you live anywhere around these United States and you now see circles being put in, I don't know, do you have any circles being put in down by you? Traffic circles?
We had one up at Starrett's Gap, but no, none directly near me.
They're putting them in all over the place up here in New York. That is Agenda 21. That came from the UN. Those traffic circles came from the UN. That's Agenda 21. So this is, people go, oh, Agenda 21, that's all conspiracy theory. No, it's not. What you see there is exactly out of Agenda 21. And
Yes.
Agenda
And they're very
2030
annoying.
is even worse. And we'll talk about it because it's actually inside of all Agenda 2030 is the notion of putting UN troops on this continent to make us obey the collective will of everyone in the UN.
Things like the Small Arms Treaty come to mind.
Small Arms Treaty is one of them, yes. The getting rid of firearms on this continent is a big one for them. They want our firearms because then they can control us.
As far as the traffic circles goes, truck driver pet peeve, you're not supposed to stop in them.
No.
Proceed in the circle. We really don't like having to stop the trucks. It takes forever to get cranked back up. Anyway, that's the trucker peeve of the day.
So anyway, let's just go on. Let me just throw down here. Let me see. Okay, Blinken says leaders in Chicago and Cook County have failed to protect many communities from violent crime. All right. Let's go to part 2 of this whole thing. Our big conversation between Suzanne and I on Monday mornings has gone around this whole idea of national reciprocity and all this other stuff. And one of my big statements I always say, and I say it quite often, is that federalism allows some states to suck. Illinois is a state that really, really, really sucks. They suck. They rank right up there in Suckington with Pennsylvania, with New York and California and Massachusetts.
New Jersey. Don't forget New Jersey.
And New Jersey. So why are these people in Chicago having such a hard time with violent crime? Could it possibly be that they have probably the most stringent gun laws in these United States, and it's practically, if not in fact impossible, to own a firearm in the city of Chicago? And so the average citizen can't defend himself. And so who has all the guns? Well, it's the criminals. And who's shooting everyone? The criminals.
Oh, it's even worse. The criminals are killing the criminals.
No, honestly,
gang violence is ridiculous right now.
And he's calling it a genocide. That would mean that whites are murdering blacks at a horrendous rate in there, when in fact, this is almost all exclusively black on black crime.
Yeah,
so it's not a genocide.
Like Muslims on Christians, or
right,
Christians on Catholics, or Jews on black. There's no genocide going on. This is young black kids that have gone into gangs and they're having a turf war, and the police are not allowed to do their job.
That's the third prong of this. So the first off, you can't have UN troops here. And quite honestly, if the good people of the state of Illinois would go there and open basically turn themselves into a militia and go and try to repel the invaders, I would go out and help them, because they are foreign invaders on American soil. Because they have no authority to be here.
This could actually work if this were to happen. I know I'm throwing this out here. It'd work in our favor, because then states like Indiana, Wisconsin, Iowa, the more conservative states around Illinois are probably going to lose their collective minds when they hear the word UN peacekeepers in Chicago. And they'll probably mobilize their own forces to make sure these peacekeepers stay in Chicago.
Right. So now we have, that's insanity. We'll see what happens with it. Then we have Chicago being making it pretty much impossible for the law-abiding average citizen to defend themselves from these thugs. And we have these basically crimes being committed, and the police are basically hamstrung to be able to do anything about it. Did you see that thing from Dwayne Stovall the other day, him talking about that Houston police chief apologizing because a detective in investigating a crime, I don't know if it was a murder, and there was I don't know what the whole context was, because he really didn't, but he was apologizing because his detective described the person involved as a man in women's clothing.
Yes,
when in fact it was a man in women's clothing.
I think that if I ever get in trouble with the law, I'm going to have my lawyer immediately claim harassment because they described me as a white male and I'm fat. So, and the worst case is I'll probably win my case.
Yeah. Well, the fact of the matter is, this is the ridiculous nature of which law enforcement has gotten to. Now, there's a whole lot of problems with law enforcement today. Number one is it's a taxing authority that the cities, the counties, the states, and has set up because it's just a revenue enhancement because they can't raise enough taxes. So they send them out there in swarms, just pull you over for speeding or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's just revenue enhancement. That's one of the biggest problems. It stopped being protecting and serving. It became a revenue enhancement. And number two is that now these guys are so hamstrung. If they describe a guy as a man in women's clothing, they have to go out there and apologize. Give me a break. This is the problem. Policing is not policing any longer. And that's why there's such a problem in Chicago, because the police can't do their job. They have to worry about if they call a man in women's clothing, they have to apologize or might lose their job over it. Who knows?
We have gone from the Andy Griffith paramount as an officer to making Barney Fife look intelligent. And I like Barney Fife. He was funny. But he was, if you've ever seen the Andy Griffith show, you really got to watch it, because you can watch Barney Fife and he loses his mind over certain things. And Andy's the one that always has to calm him down. The other analogy is, do you remember The Office? What was the officer's name in a trucking show? Eastbound and Down.
Oh, Buford T. Justice.
Yeah. Yeah. We've developed that style of police officer now, where they're only out trying to bust people for absolutely stupid stuff that will not make any difference at the end of the day.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is the Cerberus Radio Network, and this is the Renegade and the Rambler show, defending liberty and freedom from the flames of tyranny.
For the last time, I'm pretty sure what's killing the crops is this Brondo stuff.
The Brondo's got what plants crave. It's got electrolytes.
So wait a minute. What you're saying is that you want us to put water on the crops?
Yes.
Water? Like out the toilet?
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be out of the toilet, but yeah, that's the idea.
But Brondo's got what plants crave.
It's got electrolytes.
Okay, look. The plants aren't growing, so I'm pretty sure that the Brondo's not working. Now, I'm no botanist, but I do know that if you put water on plants, they grow.
Well, I've never seen no plants grow out of no toilet.
Hey, that's good. You sure you ain't the smartest guy in the world?
Yeah.
Okay, look, you want to solve this problem. I want to get my pardon, so why don't we just try it, okay? And not worry about what plants crave.
Brondo's got what plants crave.
Yeah, it's got electrolytes. What are electrolytes? Do you even know? It's what they use to make Brondo. Yeah, but why do they use them to make Brondo?
Because Brondo's got electrolytes.
Cerberus Radio Network, protecting liberty and freedom from the flames of tyranny.
Renegade and the Rambler show only on the Cerberus Radio Network. And if I don't say that right, Suzanne will come and slap me upside the back of the head later.
Yeah, I still have a couple of breaks out there that have the wrong pronunciation in parts of them. It's right, wrong, right. It's pretty funny.
But at least we're on the East Coast and her arms aren't that long, so the frying pan doesn't quite reach the back of our heads. So we're good.
Well, it may. I may be going out there for PrepperCon, so I will be within striking distance because I'll be out there in Utah, hanging with Suzanne at PrepperCon and hopefully doing live shows from inside the facility there with some of the writers and some of the vendors there. So it should be fun.
Take your bump helmet.
Yeah, well, I might have to actually bring my ballistic helmet. So.
She is well armed now. You might need it for safety.
And I think I'm actually seeing that. Let's see, was it the deer or was it the elk she got? She got it like 450 yards, so I know she can shoot. So I better take the ballistic one. So,
better take all your too.
So anyway, Fox Business News. New York facing massive financial crisis. The elimination of state and local tax SALT deductions in the GOP's tax reform bill could mean higher taxes for many Americans, especially those in high-tax states. I'll go on with this article in a minute. We know, we were talking about a little bit, I think, earlier. I guess now they're pushing ahead with all these tax plans or whatever. And in reality, I don't believe there's one dime of savings that you and I are going to see out of these things. I believe actually we might even be paying higher taxes. I think it's all smoke and mirrors. Has it passed the House now too? I know it passed the Senate. It went to the House.
Well, the House will pass it on a party line vote. I'll look. I will look.
Because I saw you and Suzanne were talking about something when I came into the chat, and I didn't catch it on. So I didn't know if they actually passed it or if it's still just out there. And I know they're working on it because they want to get it passed before the new year, I think. But and it's according to President Trump, it is it'd be a Christmas gift, a Christmas present to us all.
I'm scanning an article now.
So it would be a headline. If they passed it, it'd be headline. It'd be top of the banner. You wouldn't be able to miss it if they passed it. So they're still working on it, probably.
I was going to say they're scheduling votes this week.
Yeah. So yeah, they haven't passed it yet, but they'll pass it this week. They have to pass it, or and they'll pass exactly what the Senate did, so they don't have to go back to a conference committee and then have to go back to the Senate to vote on it again. It'll go just as they have it, and it'll be a crap sandwich that we all have to put up with.
House is expected to vote on Tuesday, and they're expected to pass it without problems. It's I don't know how you want to label it, more conservative, more liberal, whatever, more stupid. The Senate version is than the House. The House was actually going to take it from 7 brackets down to 4. But the brackets aren't the problem. The problem is they shouldn't be taxing us at all to begin with. And until people stand up and actually admit that taxation is theft, they're holding a gun over your head if you don't pay it. We're never going to get anywhere because the government thinks all the money is their money.
Yeah. Well, it is their money, and we should be happy with what they allow us to keep. It's all theirs, and they allow us to have some of it. So anyway, the reform would cap the deductions for state and local property taxes at $10,000. And Don Peebles, Peebles Corp CEO, warned New York is already feeling the wrath of a mass tax exodus. So a lot of these states, Texas is benefiting from mostly from this because they're a low tax state. A lot of states like New York, probably Massachusetts, California, a lot of people are leaving. So this gets better because we'll talk about some of these here. Let me get on here. I'm going to bypass, I think. Let me see. Okay, I'll read it all. It's a real short. New York last year lost 120,000 taxpayers. Taxpayers, the word I hate. We're not a taxpayer, we're a citizen. Taxpayer means you are a resource, and that's how they look at you. If you are okay with being a taxpayer, more power to you. I am not a taxpayer, I'm a citizen. They steal from me. I am not willingly giving this up. I'm not a resource. It's theft. If you want to be a taxpayer, God bless you. I'm not. Peebles told Fox Business Maria Bart, whatever, on Mornings with Maria, while the population grows, 40,000 New Yorkers carry 45% of the tax burden out of 8.5 million. So 40,000 New Yorkers pay almost 50% of the tax. Peebles added another implication another implication would be increased pressure on the local budget. So under de Blasio in 4 years, New York City budget went from 51 billion, a city having a $51 billion budget to 61.7 billion. What's Pennsylvania's budget? The state of Pennsylvania. Wasn't it somewhere in the 50s?
45 billion.
So
I don't know. New York
City
was like it has the budget of a state.
Has the budget of a state.
Well, the entire budget for New York's like $100 and some odd $1 million or $1 billion.
Yeah.
But
So,
the other thing,
go ahead.
the other thing you got to factor in there is New York by state constitution has to fund their pensions the way they do. Pennsylvania does not. They don't even come close to funding their pensions like they're supposed to.
Well, that's why I talked about that on one of those shows where I was talking about they were trying to pass a constitutional convention this year. Andrew Cuomo tried to pick up where his dad, Mario Cuomo, failed. Mario tried to get the Constitution changed so they could steal the pension fund. Andrew did the same thing this year. He tried. It got beat like by 80% to 20%. People said absolutely not. So what they were going to do is we have in our pension fund 8 to 10 or 8 to 12 billion, somewhere between 8 and 12 billion. I can't tell you exactly how much is there. Billion dollars. And that's how they pay the pensioners. They were trying to get that money so they could squander it and have nothing there to pay the pensions, except the IOUs. It's just like Social Security. There's no money in Social Security. They spend it all. There's IOUs, and they pay the Social Security people out of the general fund. That's why the people on Social Security haven't had a cost of living adjustment in years, because there's no money to give them. They can't give them more money because they don't have money right now to give them.
Well, if you notice, whenever they do raise it, they also jack Medicare up. So basically all they do is they move it from one fund to another, and you never see it.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. Don't count on Social Security, people.
Right. So under de Blasio, it's gone up from 51 billion to 61.7 billion. That's a 20% increase in less than 4 years. Their budget has gone up to almost by a quarter in 4 years. They added 25,000 employees to the payrolls, and they're posing all kinds of tax increases. So it gets better. Let's see. I missed something here because I know there was. Oh, where was that? I know I missed a sentence here because there was a percentage that I wanted to. Where did that go? It's such a short article. How could I miss it? Anyway, that 40,000 is dropping by 2 to 4%, and I can't find it in the article now. So that means between 800 and 1,600 more of that 40,000 are leaving this year alone. So every year, that 40,000 that pays 50% of the taxes keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Before long, there won't be that 40,000 that's paying 50%. They won't have anyone paying that 50%.
They'll literally get to the point where the businesses and everything move out of New York City as well. Because they'll eventually, because what the state will do is they'll move all the taxation burden onto the companies that are still left, because the state never learns. And then those companies will leave, and then New York will plummet economically in a hurry.
All right. Here it is. Goldman Sachs recently projected between 2 and 4% of that 40,000 will relocate out of the state by 2018. That's by 2018. So that's not even including 2018. It keeps getting smaller and smaller. They keep raising the taxes. People keep leaving to go to places where there's less taxes. The problem is, how do we escape the theft from our masters in Washington, D.C.? It's impossible. You can't escape them. Not unless we have secession.
I'm going to turn into a Sith Lord here in a minute. Sit.
All right.
Okay.
So, do you have any final comment? Why don't you make some final comments on that, Daniel? Because we're 3 minutes out from the end here.
Taxation is theft, and I have no problem with New York shouldering the burden of their high taxes and massive stupidity. This is going to hurt Pennsylvania as well. Go. 100. Sit. I have no problem with New York shouldering more of their tax burden. Apparently, I have a comedian act behind me. I'm going to have to beat them at video games tonight. So, anyway, I got to start the music. So, I am all for any type of tax relief. I don't think this is nowhere near big enough for me, though. A 4 or 5% tax cut is not going to do it. It's not going to boost the economy. They're just moving it from one tax to another.
Yeah,
you'll still be paying the same amount.
It's a shell game.
Yeah. If they wanted to truly do tax cuts, we go to a fair tax or a flat tax. And a flat tax, literally like 4% across the board, and the economy will come all the way back and boom. But they won't do it because that would mean their buddies wouldn't have money to give them, and they would lose their power. And we must have power in Washington. Okay. So anyway,
well, Merry Christmas, everyone. We won't see you now until after Christmas. So Merry Christmas from the Johnson clan up here in the northern tier of Pennsylvania. Have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you in 2018.
And from the Renegade household, otherwise known as the Baileys, say Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas! All right, and we'll be back after the new year with new videos and new content and possibly something in between. But for right now, just watch that Facebook page. Until we see you again, stay safe, and we will talk to you all then. Good night.
you.